Hey there, my name is Meagan Clanahan. I am the co-owner of Houston Moms. Thrilled to see you here today and bringing you some really important information. If you've watched videos from us before, you know that Next Level Urgent Care is one of our main sponsors of Houston Moms. And at this time, with so much shifting in medical news, we wanted to make sure that we brought you some great information today to help you make educated and informed decisions for your family. You might recognize my guest here today. We have had the privilege to have Dr. Robin Traylor on several times before. She is the Chief Medical Officer of Next Level Urgent Care. Dr. Traylor, it's great to see you today.
Howdy, Megan. It's so good to see you again today. Thanks for having me back. It's always fun when we get to talk.
It is so fun. And then today, and sometimes we keep to lighthearted topics. Today we have a little bit of a more serious topic that we're launching into. And so I'm thrilled that you could be able to share that. Can you tell people kind of your current role at Next Level Urgent Care and why you're qualified to be able to speak to what we're going to today?
Right. So at Next Level Urgent Care, I function as Chief Medical Officer of Acute Care Services. That means that I supervise all of our doctors and advanced practice providers practicing urgent care across Houston. Today at Next Level, we have 17 brick and mortar urgent care clinics. By the end of the year, there'll be about 21, 22 brick and mortar urgent care clinics in Houston. And so that's the Chief Medical Officer role. I also head our clinical research department at Next Level. So we have been very involved with a lot of the exciting COVID related research over the last year here at Next Level. And it's been wonderful for me and my team to be a part of that. And in addition to those roles, I function as quality officer at Next Level. So that means that I'm responsible for making sure our teams are treating patients according to evidence-based medicine and that patients are having a really wonderful experience with us here. And that's what I do every day.
So basically, you're not busy at all.
No, oh gosh, no, what are you
No.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it's been interesting every time we come back to Next Level, and whether we're talking to Dr. Breeze, founder and CEO of Next Level Urgent Care over the past year, to see kind of the dire straits that we were very much feeling a year ago this time. Um, and now just kind of like this, okay, we're
It's
starting to be able to breathe a little bit.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I'll tell you, Dr. Breeze has been just incredible over the last year. She is a fantastic physician, but she's also this really wonderful business person. And she understood that in order to provide high quality, affordable healthcare for all in the Houston market, the way we are used to at Next Level, that we had to be ready to, pivot and hustle and find labs, source supplies, communicate with patients. We turned our clinics inside out about March of last year. One of these days when I settle down, just as soon as I finish resting in my chief medical officer role,
right.
I'll write a book about it because I just think like the year was so hard, but we learned so many valuable lessons
Mhm.
about keeping the clinics going and really and even about keeping our teams motivated.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that things are improving. I'll tell you, this time right now where the COVID rate in Houston is falling right at 10% and under 10%. Some pockets of Houston only have 5% COVID rate. For me, it is just a dream come true. I'm so thrilled that we've gotten to this point.
And I think we all felt like there maybe wasn't a time we would ever get there. And so I'm thrilled that that's kind of the joyous situation that we're in now. And so what we're going to talk about today, I do want to just put out this disclaimer. We have the best Houston moms. What we're going to talk about maybe a little bit I don't want to say controversial, but there are some thoughts that people have as it relates to kids and vaccines. So, in the COVID vaccine specifically. So, we're going to kind of dive in to some informational. Again, our goal at Houston Moms is to bring you the medical professionals to share their medical opinions. And then, obviously, it's up to you and your family to take that information, process it as you deem necessary, but we want you to be informed. So that's simply our goal here today. And so if you have comments, just be respectful of different beliefs and the comments, and keep the engagement kind, because there are schools of thought here, but again, we're providing information. So let's talk about what kiddos are vaccine eligible as of today.
Okay, so as I get into that question, I do want to let the audience know that I'm a Houston mom too. And so is the founder and CEO of Next Level Urgent Care. And so are many of the excellent physicians and advanced practice providers on our teams. We are mothers. We are your neighbors in Houston. We are your friends. We're your homegirls. So I'll tell you, what you hear from us will be evidence-based, but it's also the real deal. And I wouldn't make recommendations to any institution, but certainly not Houston Moms, if I wasn't willing to offer it to myself and my family. So who's eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine? Anyone age 12 and up today can go get vaccinated. There's really no contraindication to the COVID-19 vaccine unless you have history of severe reaction to a vaccine. And when I say severe, I mean somebody should have been headed to the hospital after getting their shot. I don't mean like the minor little like flu-like side effects that people experience after getting shot. Sometimes our kids take vaccines and they get elevated temperature and kind of cranky. That is all fine and normal. That's the immune system at work. If you're coming from where I'm from, that's a little bit reassuring because we know the process is working. So that's normal for vaccine reaction. But if you are a person who has suffered severe allergic reaction, like couldn't breathe, terrible rash, then you are someone who should talk to your doctor before getting that shot. But everybody else, age 12, the immunocompromised, okay, so even our friends and neighbors who are immunosuppressed because of autoimmune disease, or maybe they're on cancer therapies, or perhaps they have diabetes, which is an immunocompromised state if it is not well controlled. Anybody, people who have arthritis, people who are very, very old, can and I would say should get vaccinated so that we avoid the awful consequences of severe COVID.
Yeah. So, and I think, so full disclosure for our audience, I'm fully vaccinated. Woohoo. And it's such a good, like, it's a freedom feeling. But I have to say, I mean, that second shot for me was a bit of a doozy. What are we seeing in our, specifically that 12 and up group that they've now opened it up to? And it's Pfizer, right? It's Pfizer only as of right now. So what are we seeing as for side effects for that crew? What should we expect our children to feel like? is it different than the flu? Are they going to experience same or similar symptoms as some of the adults have experienced?
I will say that the reactions to the vaccine vary. So I have spoken with patients who got their second shot and they felt nothing. They felt completely fine, no side effects. Others had a reaction like what you described and like what I experienced. About 12 hours after my second shot, I honestly felt like a wet dish rag. I was heavy and kind of sluggish, and I went, "Oh yeah, it's the shot."
Now it's working.
Right, it's working. That the first shot was all right, but the second shot, it got me. And I did have patients tell me that they experienced elevated temperature, some outright fever, up to 101 or close to 102, and body aches. And some people felt just like really just malaise, tired, fatigue after that second shot. But most of those symptoms completely subsided within a day or two of getting that second shot.
So
So,
kids are seeing kind of that same 12 to 24 hour, or
well,
are
that's
they a little bit
interesting.
different?
So EUA happened not quite 21 days ago. So some of the kids that went out and got vaccinated on day one with that Pfizer shot, they won't be up for their second shot until about June 2nd, June 1st. So
Mhm.
we're going to know how they tolerate it in studies. They tolerated it extremely well. They
Okay.
they tolerated it like adults in general population. So I anticipate the same. Full disclosure to Houston Mom's blog, I got my 13-year-old vaccinated the day after EUA was issued, and she tolerated that first shot just fine. We'll see what happens with the second shot. I'm ready for anything though, and so is she.
So we may have to anticipate a little mama tender loving care for a couple of, for 12 to 24 hours, kind of let them lay low. So I'll be interested, and thank you for that reminder that their window isn't even up yet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think it's important to point out that the studies show the kids that went through those studies all tolerate it, found it highly effective. Is that correct?
I found it 100% effective, which is
I didn't
almost
want to
unheard of.
misquote, but
Yeah, no, it's almost 100% effective for Pfizer, and Moderna just reported that their 12 to 17-year-olds experienced 100% protection with their vaccine. Now, let me be perfectly honest, keep it real with the Houston moms. I told y'all I'm your homegirl too. In the subset of patients that were studied for the vaccine, they had really high efficacy with that shot. And all of those kids were protected. None of the ones who got the shot actually caught COVID. So that's wonderful. Nobody got severe disease, of course. That's completely wonderful. In vivo, in real life, we know some of these kids that get fully vaccinated may also get COVID. And that's okay. I want everybody to hear me when I say this. That's okay. The purpose of the vaccine is really to prevent severe disease and death. Okay? Any one of us before the pandemic would catch a cold and you say, man, I got a cold, too bad. Guess I'll be sick for a few days. And then you just move on with your life. That too may happen with fully vaccinated adults and children. But we know that if you take the vaccine and you have the antibodies on hand, you have about a 0% chance of progressing to severe disease, which means you might require hospitalization, you might develop subsequent pneumonia, you might have to be intubated, or worse, some patients experience loss of life. That is the whole point, is to really get us to a place where people are not dying because of the virus.
such a great point, and um, Yeah, I think that's what has brought me such a peace of mind about it. Is like, even if I do contract, the likelihood of me passing away from COVID is about nil. Now that I'm vaccinated. So thank you for expressing that point. So if our Houston moms have their 12 and up children now, where do they go to get the vaccine?
Well, that's an excellent question. These days, you can go just about anywhere. At Next Level Urgent Care, we have presently we have 3 different vaccine sites in Houston. So we
Mhm.
are vaccinating at our Gulfton location. We are also vaccinating in Fort Bend County at a couple of different locations. And we had been doing some vaccines at one of the local community colleges. So we've just been all over since the very
Yeah, you
beginning,
have.
vaccinating as many people who wanted to be vaccinated. In addition to Next Level, though, many of the national chain pharmacies have vaccine. The local municipalities have it. So, like, City of Houston, City of, wherever, everybody's got shots for their population. So, really, patients can go just about anywhere and get that shot.
That's amazing. And I love, like you said, y'all have been really on the front lines of making sure that you were having a way to distribute those vaccines, and now we have them for the 12-year-olds. I'll make sure to pop the link for those 3 locations in the comments below. So if you want to sign up and go through Next Level Urgent Care, and that's always a great place to go. And of course, as Dr. Traylor said, there are, you could go to a multitude of places too. Um, so I have, and I think we've talked about this before, I have twins and they turn 11 next week. So we're not to the 12-year-old stage yet. So what are we hearing as to when vaccine approval may happen for our 12 and under population?
What I'm hearing is that that population probably will not have vaccine available until the end of the year. But what I think is that we may be pleasantly surprised and have good data on that population before the end of the summer.
Okay.
Okay, so I wouldn't hang my hat on that, but the data that came out about the 12 to 17 population was so promising and so voluminous.
Mhm.
They studied it in plenty of kids, and it was so compelling that Pfizer went ahead and applied for EUA, and Moderna is going to do the same probably within the next week or so. I believe that we will get similar data out of our younger children studies, and that hopefully the drug companies, the pharmaceutical companies will have enough information, enough good information to go ahead and apply for EUA in that younger group. I too have a 10-year-old who watched with full jealousy while her 13-year-old sister got vaccinated. So I know the younger kids are eager to get their shot, but they should have it before the end of the year.
I love that. And that they're watching. Our children are watching.
Oh
And
yeah,
as on like a personal anecdote, we were on vacation in spring break. Um, and the shots were opening up, but I'm not in a high risk group. And, so I was like, when is it my turn? And I got like a text from a provider that was like, you're eligible to sign up, but we're like in Tennessee. And I just burst into tears,
I know.
started bawling, and my kids were like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, I'm getting the shot. And they flipped and like gave me the biggest hugs. I mean,
Yeah,
they get it.
yeah.
Um, which, maturity beyond the years of what we didn't expect for them. So, yeah,
100%. I feel like our kids are science experts now.
I know.
Really, this year they've watched so much. They've followed the news. They followed the progress of the studies, and I think it's really piqued their interest in the study of biologic sciences. So I'm really excited. I'm optimistic about our future. I think we'll be in good hands, but because of just the bravery that our children have shown through this pandemic.
What a good point. And yes, like just them being able to see history in the making and
Yeah,
experience it. And, if it spurs on more people who want to be able to do that when they grow up, I think the more the merrier. Bring on all the big brains, right?
exactly.
Um, so final question. I know that as we've gone out throughout this past year, especially kind of in the older teen population, a lot of these kids have had COVID, whether it's spread on a volleyball team or a band situation or just at school or parties, whatever was happening.
Right.
Um, that population, there's been quite a few that have had COVID. What would you tell those parents who, if their kid has had COVID, is it important for them to get the vaccine? Why or why not?
I would strongly recommend that anybody who has had COVID go ahead and get the shot.
Okay.
Initially, the recommendation was that if you had COVID, that you should wait until 90 days after your symptoms first started to get your shot. That recommendation has been rescinded fully. We are now recommending that people go ahead and get their shot. There is no contraindication to getting vaccinated today unless you have a history of severe reaction to any other vaccine. So someone who's had COVID within the last month should strongly consider getting vaccinated if they have not already done so.
Okay. And just for like the non-science brains out there, like myself, like I would think if I had it, I'm probably protected against it. Why, like what is the reasoning? Like what
Right.
comes behind that?
That's a brilliant question. So I think the human body is magical. I really do. And what a lot of people may not realize is that just about every 90 days you have a new body. Okay. So we shed our skin cells. We get new blood cells. Okay. The body is constantly regenerating and turning itself over. Well, if you get COVID right now, you have COVID antibodies, but you
Mm,
probably won't have them in 90 days.
okay.
And as a matter of fact, as you march closer and closer to that 90-day mark, your antibody level is going to decline more and more and more. So that is why it's important to go ahead and get the vaccine to activate your humoral immunity and your memory cells. That's the key with the vaccine, is really making the body remember the virus so that if you encounter the virus again, you will mount your defenses and be protected from severe disease. Okay.
Okay.
So, if you just have a regular bout of illness, what we're finding is that you don't have that immunity protection as long as somebody who actually got the vaccine.
Okay.
Another common question I'm getting from people is, how long does my vaccine last? And the truth
That
is,
I was about to come to
yeah, I
you.
mean, that's the
Yeah.
natural next question.
Yeah.
The truth is, we don't really know yet because the vaccines are so new. So what they're doing is tracking people who enrolled in the studies. They're tracking their antibody levels to
Okay.
know how long they have some protection. So, I'm thinking we're probably going to require a 1 year booster. It was recently stated that we probably will not require a 6-month booster. So that's kind of cool. If
Mhm.
we could just get a COVID shot once a year, it's kind of like a flu shot.
Good. Mhm.
Um, then the natural next question is, how long are we going to have to do these COVID shots? The truth is, we don't know. We don't know. I know, if I have a crystal ball, it doesn't work. We hope that the pandemic will subside. In the past, pandemics have always gone away, right? There's been the bubonic plague, and there's been Spanish influenza, and the human race has experienced plagues before. They come and go. But how long this particular virus is with us is really unknown right now. So, as you started this conversation stating, it was hard to see our way out of the pandemic at one point because it was so bad. I didn't even know if we'd get to a point where we could take our masks off.
Right.
But we are coming to a safe zone now where it is fine to unmask if you are with certain company or if you're in open air spaces. And so what I would say is I don't anticipate that we'll have to have a coronavirus vaccine every year forever.
Mhm.
But we're just going to have to see what happens.
Well, I think that's okay. I think if anything, this last year has taught us is that, you know, you never know what's going to happen, but we can trust that our frontline, our healthcare workers are there working so hard behind the scenes, like I know you and Dr. Breeze have, and your entire staff at Next Level. Excuse me. And from the bottom of our heart, Houston Moms, we are so grateful. And I hear stories all the time. I mean, obviously, I've been a big fan for a long time, but um, of how our followers visit your clinics and experience just such a wonderful care and reasonable care. And I think it's so important. You fill a very big hole here in the city of Houston, and to see you guys kind of leading the charge here as well and has been inspiring to me. So I appreciate it. And Dr. Traylor, as always, it's so good to see you. I feel like we could sit here and talk forever, but we do all have those kids that, have to be fed and all of that. So I'm sure we'll be back soon with you, hopefully with more promising updates. So it was great to see you.
It was great to see you too, Megan. Thank you so much, and thank you for getting vaccinated. That is a true act of love for your friends and neighbors, for your family, and I appreciate you hosting this conversation.
It's my pleasure. We will see you next time. Until next time, all of our Houston parents, my name is Megan Clanahan with Houston Moms. We will see you.